There you go. We are live. How y'all doing today? Once again, it's Nathaniel Evans, host of I'm a Data podcast. Where I'm a database. I want to explain a little briefly about it. It's about you. We are the data of our change. We are the data of our lives. We are the data of the things that come into the midst of our world and how we actually treat those things that take place in our world. Like basically, none of the things that take place in our world has dominionship over us. We basically have to change our mindsets, our hearts, even our spiritual aura on basically putting things in the right perspective and not allowing things or anyone to dominate your data because this is going to transition with you here and like Jean and I just spoke about the thereafter. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Jean Muhammad and she'll take care from there.
Peace and blessings, beautiful souls. I am Jeannie Muhammad, your global happiness expert. Just really excited again about being here with Nathaniel. He always um, gives my mind something to really chew on and expand my world and expand my thinking. So I am always happy to be with here with I am the data because as he said, this is who we are and we have a beautiful subject this afternoon, becoming you, becoming
All right.
you. So let's get it started. Wayne is here with us.
I know, yeah.
That's great, Wayne.
I'm letting him
Thank
know on
you
the
for being.
road, so I'm letting him know have a great trip. You
Oh, he's
know,
on the road.
yeah, he's on the road.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. I'm so happy that he took time to be here with
Uh huh.
us. And Denise is here.
Yeah, Denise is here as
Oh,
well.
thank you, Denise, for being with us.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yes. So, this subject, oh, I am so excited about this subject, Nathaniel, because
He said hello, sister. He said hello, sister.
okay. All right. Peace and blessings to you. Um,
Yes, definitely.
Nathaniel, one of my hashtags that I use all the time is a better me, a better you. So,
Yeah, yeah. Because even I had a podcast with Wayne Dawson, awesome guy. He has a great
oh,
metaphor.
I love what he does. I love it.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying a lot of his ads now. They're like kind of like popping right now, so I'm really enjoying
Right.
the ads as he's doing. But
They
we
are.
actually did speak. We spoke about men being the links to the chain for one another,
Right.
right? And bringing those together. That's that connectivity. It's like you remind me when I used to be an HIV tester. One of the things they used to talk about with HIV is that it attaches itself, what I'm saying, to the cells and can actually become this receptor where it can actually bring on more hosts to attack to more cells and basically start dominating the body. But if we
Okay.
but if we do this in metaphysical terms as men and as women, we would actually be able to dominate the things that surround us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And any things that come to basically afflict us as a people.
Oh, that's a beautiful metaphor because it is so true. And once we understand how we are all connected, we are all connected. Some of us really, I think, and especially in this world today, it has an emphasis on me without taking into consideration that everything that I do, every action that I take, every thought that I have is affecting other people.
Yeah,
It's affecting
definitely.
other.
Definitely. Because you really can't think that you're able to commit an offense in this world or even do good in this world and people are not going to benefit from it. The other day I was walking on a block and a car stopped and was like, beep, 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 and I turned around. He was like, yo, what's going on? And it happened to be one of my childhood friends that I actually went to public school with.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, I've been seeing your podcast, man. I've been seeing what you talk about. You're doing a great job, man, and keep doing it because brothers And sisters need to hear your message. They need to know what's going on out here, right? And I was like, wow, he never tagged me in a post. He never commented, but those things are for analytics. What I mean, those are algorithms. We're not algorithms. We're not analytics unless we all those things for ourselves. So a lot of people get caught up in all those different tools and all those different likes and dislikes and whatever. And those things can actually make you, but they also could break you. Because the time
Yes.
when somebody doesn't like your post or somebody don't comment on your post, or then what happens to you, right? So it's really good, and it's really a great thing to know that you are making a difference because you are making a difference. Not looking for people to tell you that you're making a difference, but to know that you are making a difference. This is why you actually put yourself out here in the first place, for you to actually channel your life to other people and say, "Look, I'm alive, right?
Yes. And you
I'm
know
here."
what? You
Yeah,
know how I feel about that, Nathaniel. I had got caught up in those numbers at one time, and I was miserable because I that was my little hell. I was putting myself in hell worrying about the numbers. But understanding that it's not all about numbers. It's great. Numbers are great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love it when people I love it when people, make comments. I love it. But I also know that there are a lot of people that never comment. There are some people just like your friend that stopped you. He may never have liked anything you did, or maybe, but you may have had an impact on his life,
that's right.
and that is the purpose.
Yeah, because you got to do you in the dark. I read this book one time. I forgot who wrote it, but it said "Men Cry in the Dark." Right?
Is it true? Is it true,
It's
Nathaniel?
true. It's 100% true. It's 100% true. Because a lot of men, that's one of the things I like about brothers like Wayne is that so transparent. You know what I mean? They speak about their ups and downs, their falls, the trials and tribulations that they actually went through,
Mm-hmm.
and not create this basic utopia, fantasy island type of concept about
Right.
their being, right? Because that I think that destroys more people than actually help them. When you're not honest about your trials and tribulations, when you're not honest about the paths that you actually went through, you're not honest
Right.
about what you have lost, and when you lost it, how did it affect you? What did it do to you to that loss? You might lose something, and it might push you back 5 or 6 steps, and you might lose something that might push you forward 5 or 6 steps, like playing chess. I sacrificed the wrong pawn, and next thing you know, I get destroyed on the board, right? So
Right.
it's basically being very authentic and knowing, what I'm saying, that you are able to be transparent, not just towards other people, but solely towards yourself, right? Giving
Yes.
yourself, yeah, what he said.
Yes. Yes. You know, that is our subject, becoming you.
Yeah,
That's all
becoming
part of
you.
it.
Yeah, because Wayne said, keep delivering your message right on time, much blessings, being sent to the universe. When the student's ready, the teacher appears. Right.
That
And
is so true.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Right? Because that lets you know that you are not in total control of the people that come into your space. Right?
That's right.
Those people are tag you like a post and say, I want that brother to help me. I want that sister to help me.
Right.
I don't have conversations with people in France and say, I think you understand what I'm going through. And I would talk to them for half an hour on the phone, you know, for free. There ain't no consulting fee. We're actually just talking as beings,
Yes.
and hopefully the message I gave to them, it would help them resonate throughout their lives or put things in perspective at that particular moment so they could move on. The one thing you don't want somebody to reach out to you, and you basically blacklist them, and the next thing you know, you hear something happen to them, or you heard they did something to themselves, or you heard they did something to somebody else. That's something that you don't want to be a part, what I'm saying, of your existence, because without know it or not, we are all healers.
Yes. Oh, and Nathaniel, that resonates with my soul because I am a happiness coach, a assertiveness coach,
Hmm.
all that wonderful thing, titles and that I have. But my greatest joy comes, and I offer, consultations, 30 minutes free consultation. But in that 30 minutes, there have been so many times that the person that what I have given them during that consultation, well, and most time it doesn't last just 30 minutes because I say 30 minutes, but sometimes it'll go an hour and a half, because I think the first time we talked, we must have talked 2 hours, and it was
Yeah, yeah. That's
but
what caused us to be co-hosts,
right.
right? That that
That's
that
right.
first,
So, but
yeah,
during that 30 minutes or whatever, however much time, sometimes I will give to the person what they need. That light bulb will go off, and they'll say, "That's exactly what I needed to hear to get me on the right track."
yeah.
Now,
That our moment, that our moment.
yes,
Like,
yes,
oh wow, yeah, that's it right there. That's what you want to do for people's lives because that's what was done for your life.
that is exactly. And becoming me, the person that I am today, was a process. And
Mm.
that's sometimes, as you say, people may see you where you are at this time and not know all the hell that you went through becoming you.
Becoming you, yeah, be the person that you are now, right, is a gift to you because you starting to understand it or you're starting to appreciate it. But that has not always been the case, right?
That's right.
Don't fool yourself to believe that this is the ultimate you, that you cross the finish line, that you can't learn nothing from nobody else, you know, you can't develop on a higher level. The universe can't teach you certain things. You can go outside and the cat can teach you something, right?
Yeah, the cat down the road. There's no
Yeah,
telling what he may have to tell you.
yeah, he might show you certain thing. I remember one time I was studying with some brothers, and it was like four cats, but it was one cat that I really liked for some reason. And I would go to the store and buy cat food and stuff. But then it was a black cat that was a bully, right? And the other cat was scared you know, of the black cat, and the cat looked to me for assistance, and I would run the black cat off so he could eat his food, right? So this is a level of intelligence, right? That even all species there's a bully somewhere, right? Every species.
You're so, because you know what I told you some time ago. I started watching birds. I started watching birds,
Oh
and
my
and and
god.
and I sit and watch the bully birds. I cannot stand a bully. The one that'll come along. All the other birds are just sitting there eating and
Yeah,
sharing and all the
yeah,
different species, and then
yeah,
here come along a bird, and Nathaniel. I don't know why they always the blackbird. It's the blackbird that
yeah.
runs
Be a
all the
straight
other
bully,
birds.
straight bully.
And I love black. I'm all for black, but I don't know why it's always the blackbird that be bullying the other birds.
Mm. We will never know, because we don't really have that communicative, connection with these different species out here. But we do know that, even those beings have to come to themselves, have to come to
Yes,
a certain
yes,
awareness. Like when you go into the Quran or the Bible or even any biblical text, they actually speaks about the animal kingdoms and them transition to heaven or hell, or even Solomon talking to the animals and things of that nature. So we know that they're a part of our life, right?
right.
And look, Jessica just said it right now. Jessica Hall, she said actually Blue Jays are the worst. So you probably was seeing some Blue Jays, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I do, and they do. They be
Yeah.
running the other birds off,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right, Jessica. Blue Jays do that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that. Okay, and we on birds, but we're gonna get back to our subject. But I have also noticed that the birds that are the proud one, the robins are very proud birds. You know,
Mm,
they'll walk around, all the other birds eating the robins will strut around and look at the other birds and very proud before they will, come up and
mm.
start eating. They're very proud. But I wanted to something that Denise had said about how people see your glory
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't
They don't know
understand.
your story. They don't know your
Right, they
story. They
don't
see
know
your
your
glory. They don't know your
story.
story. Right
Right.
there.
So
Yeah.
it's the same thing with all of that. You don't know the person's story. You don't know the background. You don't know the nature. You don't know all of that. And sometimes what we do, we have a tendency to judge other people by exact what our eyes can see and don't go beyond what our eyes actually see. And
Right.
so and I have to answer an important call, Nathaniel.
Okay, good.
Okay, okay. All right. I'm gonna put myself on mute. I have to do this. I apologize,
No
but I
problem.
know you're capable of carrying on.
Yeah, definitely. We got this. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, so my host had to step out. Co-host had to step out for a minute. But this is very engaging to see. And my topic, I really didn't even think about a bully when I actually thought about this topic. But that's something that we have to consider because as we become into ourselves, we're going to run into people that's going to bully our lives or try to keep us, in that same space, that we was in before, and don't allow us to grow, learn our lessons in life, and elevate to basically, I would say, a higher plateau. So I actually, really think about that concept now that I've actually been interacting with my audience to know that, yeah, it's important to know who you're becoming, but it's also important to know who doesn't want you to become you, right? You have to see like what's out there, and who's actually challenging you to develop, who's actually saying that you don't have the right to exist, that you don't have the right to basically change your story of your own life, because people, they believe that they're authors of the lives of other people. They may believe that they created some type of accomplishment. They may believe they have some money. They may believe that they have certain possessions. So all of a sudden, they are greater than you. They know who you're supposed to be, and they actually going to write out your whole script for you, and then turn around and make a movie about it, and you got nothing to do about it, and and you can't say anything. you know so this is something that's really important to see. Who are the bullies in your life? It could be your own flesh that's bullying you, right? But it also could be other entities that's actually around you that have locked you into place, right? And are allowing you to move, and restructure, what I mean, your life to the point where your spirit is telling you, yo, you got to change. You have to elevate. You have to get to that next level because we have to be at peace. And if you don't do these certain things, we will not be at peace. We speak to each other all the time. I want ourselves all the time. It's that thing we may call intuition, and maybe that spiritual gift that we may have, those different levels of insight. But this is something that we are always instructed to do to become better, to become ourselves, and to do a lot of things that we are afraid to do. One of the hardest
Oh,
things
yes.
is starting over. Starting
Yes.
over as a leader is a great challenge, man, right? And it builds
Yes.
up integrity, it builds up your life on a higher level. And at the end of the day, you deserve that. Like you deserve
Yes.
to reach a higher level. You deserve to be a motivator for the lives of yourself and the lives of other people, right? This is your data. It's actually you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
what you want to say? Because
Beautiful,
Jane is back.
Nathaniel. That's beautiful. Oh, that is so true. And that's why I just love what you said. I am the data because becoming you and understanding who you are. Then Dr. Tammy is with us. Did I? Oh, Dr.
Yeah,
Tammy is
she's
with
here.
us. And she is another person that has so much wisdom to offer about becoming who you are, and really letting that light shine,
Hmm.
and understanding how worthy we are. So uh and I'm just loving these comments.
Yeah, because and don't forget, Dr. Tammy got some great dance moves.
Oh yes. Oh, you know what? I have wanted. So she is really bringing out that in me. I am one. And
Yeah,
Dr. Tammy, one day when you see me, they say imitation is the best form of flattery. So when you see me up there busting the move, it's gonna be, oh yeah, it's gonna be
right?
because I have been encouraged by Dr.
Yeah.
Tammy.
And our guest came in, which is Mrs. Sparrow. She's running for the governor of New York State, and we actually going to
Oh,
bring her in
okay.
real quick. And
I just want to say real quick, Jessica Hall, yes, lovebirds. Oh, hi.
yeah, you on mute, so we can't hear you.
Yes, I have the mute because there was some like a weed whacker going on in the background.
Oh,
So I
okay,
didn't. But
that's great.
hi, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? It's so great, to see you, to meet you. We didn't talk before, right? This is Mrs. Sparrow. She's running for governor, right, for New York State.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay, that's wonderful.
the topic is becoming you, and I think this is right on point with what she's striving to do in this world, with her life to create a legacy, not just for herself, but for others, and that will actually outlive her, which is actually a beautiful thing when you create things that's going to outlive you for the benefit of other people. So, introduce yourself, let us know what's going on with you.
Hi, my name is Wilhelmina Sparrow, and I decided to go for running for governor as a write-in ballot campaign because, one, I didn't want to be part of one particular party. My goal is to unite all the parties for the sake of legacy. Right now, we need to start rebuilding because of COVID, and then a lot of social issues had came up to be addressed through Black Lives Matter, Stop Asian Hate, Me Too. There's a lot of things that are coming to the light where we're talking about addressing. Sorry.
You got some technical difficulty where
Mm-hmm.
she's at.
I see that.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm enjoying what she had just said. You
There
Sorry.
you go. You're back on track. There
I
you
got
go.
little ones and I'm talking on my phone, so my daughter decided to put in a request for a download and it disrupted us. So, but what I was saying is, now that we've come to understand that these social issues that we all been experiencing through discriminative actions taken towards us, where it's escalated to violence, um, I think it's time to put that on paper to see what that looks like in law. How do we address these social issues utilizing the law, making a social contract law that we all agree upon? And that's my goal to do as governor. And I'm hoping that even if but I feel like I will win, but even if I
Hmm.
don't, that the influence of this idea of a social contract law will be something that will definitely be taken seriously. I will be advocating for this throughout the run as well as beyond, because we need to address discrimination as a arrestable offense. Um, it destroys lives. It escalates to violence. People incite using words that incite. And if we understand that we're addressing mental health and emotional health, we have to address that in law, because to rely on people's good hearts, though I know New Yorkers do have good hearts, but there are a lot of people who don't. But they do respect the law. And then if they don't, well, we have accountability that should be addressed. And that's my goal. I want to do that. And to protect our legacy, we have to protect each other's emotional mental health. We have to look at each other as human beings, but as well as assets, because we're protecting assets, but we're protecting material wealth more so than we're protecting the physical health of the individuals who are the foundation of these assets, and how we address it. And then we're seeing it manifest into a destructive force within our judicial system, within our communities, amongst each other, between police and community relations. My brand, Sparrow International, we've been working with NYPD, building that relationship between the community, making sure that they unite for the sake of legacy, because the NYPD, they're still New Yorkers. Well, the majority of them. So,
Mhm.
and they're still people, their families, they want to get home to their families as well. But their hands are tied, and they're forced to enforce laws, and we're coming at them for enforcing these laws that are oppressive. But really, it's the legislative making body responsibility to make these laws that protect our needs and our health and even our assets. But
So you
we
so
have
you
to.
basically saying like if you able to implement laws like for a traffic stop and things of that nature, then you're actually able to implement laws actually protecting humanity and allowing us to actually live in a harmonious, society and
Mhm,
not be able to basically be singled out because of our color of our skin, our religious, cultures and things of that nature, but actually to be people in this world. And what you're doing, you're sparking a fire. Like you said, you most likely you'll win, but if you don't win, you actually did spark that fire, like Sojourner Truth and Ought to Be Wells and things of that nature, where many
mhm.
people actually carry on their legacies even though they're no longer here. So we
Yes.
actually do, commend you on that actually just starting a fire. You may have some people that may have oppositions towards that, but that's about becoming you. We're all different, we're all unique, and we here to set different fires in the world, hopefully to increase life, what I mean, and benefit from the essence of life itself.
And that is beautiful. I love your message because it is about all of humanity. It is about understanding that even though we may be different in a lot of ways, as far as color, as far as religion, as far as rich, poor, uh, men, women, all the labels that we have as, but when it really all comes down to it, we are all human beings living in this world, striving and wanting basically the same things. We so often focus on our differences when if we could understand what we all have in common and work from that so that we can raise our vibrational level where we operate on the level of love for each other, love for our families, love, just operate on the premise that what I want for myself, the joy in my life I want for myself, I want for other people, you know. And so what you are doing in the political arena is beautiful because I know it's not easy. I know it, you have to make a lot of sacrifices, but that's what becoming the you that that your creator wants you to be. It takes sacrifice. So I commend you.
Definitely,
Thank
definitely.
you. Thank you. And I the idea was like, I want to protect the Black community as well, but we have to understand that everyone's damaged by racism, not just the Black community, and we have to heal those damages depending on our culture, how that manifested in each other's communities. I know a lot of good people who are part of, they we call them gentrifiers, right? Ones who moved in, but they
Hmm.
don't know. They don't know what happened to us and our communities in order for them to move in. They aren't aware. And I think that's our responsibility to make them aware of that, talk about the truth, talk about the ugliness that people don't want to talk about. But like you said, not focusing on the differences as a negative, but saying, hey, this is the story. Now what's the solution? And I feel like a lot of people want a solution. It's just that we're so used to doing the same thing. We don't know how to see beyond to create a solution that goes beyond of what we know already. And then we're thinking, oh, you got extremists who are like, oh, it all got to come down. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We just got to restructuralize. We got to take what works, and the differences of our cultures, the from everywhere we came from. Everyone's migrated to America to get away from oppression of some sort and still managed to thrive. How can
Hmm.
we teach each other that? How can we show in the different areas of our governments and in the different areas of our cultural beliefs how we thrived? You had Genghis Khan, Emperor of China, united China. Now it's one of the largest countries in the world, and it's and one thing he did was when he did that, and he of course during that time was more like fight and conquer. Today's days more voting and writing and the power of pen. But when he did that at that time, he didn't stop everybody else from practicing their beliefs and their cultural differences. He just said, accept my rule as my rule. So if we understand that the Constitution is the foundation and the ruling law of our country, how is that not punishable under penal law?
Mm.
You,
But
you
that
know,
is a get.
oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead, Nathaniel, because I'll be
No,
talking.
no, I'm just saying that's a really controversial question. It's very enlightening in a way because it sparks the mind, it sparks the heart, and it causes to actually start seeing things outside the boxes that actually been created on these social norms. There are a lot of social norms that's in the society that are not allowing us to breathe. We're being suffocated. We're being suffocated
Yes.
by economical laws. We're being suffocated by racial laws, societal laws, penitentiary laws. These things are actually suffocating us. And a lot of us, it's stopping us from becoming who we are supposed to be and what we're supposed to represent in the world. It's like
Yes.
if you was a multi-millionaire, I would love to know who Miss Sparrow is, and I would want to take Miss Sparrow out to dinner, and I'm going to pay for, even though I'm not a multi-millionaire, but I'm going to pay for the lunch for Miss Sparrow because she's a multi-millionaire. And I think that that's something that we have to start. We have to start changing, and in a sense of actually glorifying people because they actually obtain a certain status that make
Hmm.
it seem like we cannot obtain those same statuses. Now we have to change our
Yes.
focus on things that's most important, and instead of actually looking at a lot of these materialisms that's out here and all these tangible goods that's out here, that make it seem like these things have more substance than the lives of other people.
Yes.
And the important thing that I'm taking out of this is because I don't agree with everything that Nathaniel always says. I
Hmm.
don't agree with a lot of, everything that our guests may come on may say. Because we're all different. We're all unique. We bring our own perspective to whatever we're dealing with when it comes with elevating other people and elevating our lives. But one thing that I will always say is I may not agree with everything you say, but I want to hear it. And I don't want to just, I want to listen and learn. I want to learn. And one thing that I have learned, and we've lost our Miss Sparrow,
Yeah, I see. We lost Miss
and
Sparrow.
and and one
Popped in.
oh, there
She's
she
back.
goes. And one thing,
Like none of
and I
us.
want, I've been wanting to say this. We were talking about birds earlier, and what her name should be is Sparrow. And we were talking about all the different birds. And now I'm going to have to go do my research on the sparrow, and because I know the sparrow has a special meaning, and you probably know the story of the sparrow.
You do?
So it has, okay, so I did some research on it, but Sparrow is my last name from my late husband.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
so I wanted to honor his legacy And we were together for 10 years, but we legally married 2 years prior to his death. So I didn't have a long time with his last name. And I didn't want to let it go. So I was like, let me turn it into a brand. And he was all about peace and unity. Me and him used to go to Corona Park in the Bronx and just bring together the vendors and the kids and the families. We would sell toys and lights to the kids, but also with the idea of like just celebrating community. And we would play games and have fun, and that was what we were about. Our relationships. I wanted my brand to represent that. And then when I looked it up, too, it also means messenger of God, as well as community minded, and actually a sparrow is a very they're very connected into their community, and they mate for life. And then when their mate passes, that's when you see the sparrows alone. When you see a sparrow alone, that's them mourning the passing of their mate. So
Oh,
yes, so they come together in flocks, and they stay together as a community, and they work together. They're very synchronized. They hunt together. They do everything together, and then they also are like that with the other birds too. If other birds come around, they 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 are great with community amongst each other and the different birds. So the nature of the sparrow represents that. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then I
Wow.
was in my room one day. I was crying over my husband, and and then the song "The Eye of the Sparrow" came on, and I was like, this is it. This this is the brand. This is the name. This it's got to say. And then when I decide to move on and remarry, I could always be Sparrow because that's the brand now.
oh,
So,
and that is beautiful.
mhm. And
I
so, and then,
love it.
but the legacy concept came from when Michael Brown first passed away, and George Zimmerman did what he did to Trayvon Martin, and I was upset, and I was like, there needs to be accountability for the police. And then my husband was the one who was like, no, babe, we need to unite the police, come from a point of peace. And I was like, oh, you're right. And then I was going out there and I was trying to promote it. I called it pro movement. And then I had a brother, a fellow brother, he tore me down, called me a traitor, a cop lover, all this stuff. And he didn't even know it was me who created it out of anger to hold cops accountability. And I was
Mhm.
so, and he had me to the point I was in tears. And then they kept asking, like, what's the unifying factor? And I was like, I don't know, but we got to unite. We do. We need to. I see it. And then when my husband passed away, I realized that's when it impacted me. I was like, legacy, because that's when it became so important to me. To in honor of his memory was his legacy, and I realized that's what's important to us all is legacy. And I was like, eureka, I got it. So it was inspired. I always try to use my story to inspire people to know that bad things are a setup for good things to come, and you could be forged out of the fire into something that you never knew. I was very timid, very, I always was assertive, but I was too timid to go for what I wanted. I was too afraid. I got burned in life, and I still do. I still get burned all the time. Like you said, the sacrifices, you sacrifice friendships, you sacrifice. I believe in this vision. Anyone who compromises it, even if I love them, I must cut ties in order for it to protect it. And it's very isolating. So, but this is how I know myself more than I've ever known. And I want to help people. I see this as the journey. COVID made everyone go through that journey. Everyone had to isolate themselves and rediscover what was important to them because the distractions were all shut down. We
Mhm.
had nothing to distract us no more. And then we had to face ourselves, and
Took us back
depression
to the
became a
1800s.
huh?
I said it took us back to like the 1800s.
Yes. But
No TV, no.
while everyone else struggled with it, I was like, yes, social distance, yes, 6 feet
Oh, yes,
away.
me too. I did
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
thing.
They
I
different
think it
perspectives
was
on
one
that.
of the best periods of my life. And that's why I
Hmm.
say for me, COVID was a blessing. And and I know we lost a lot of people, but
Yes.
I have come to see those people as martyrs because their lives were sacrificed and lost,
It
but
helped bring about it helped bring about awareness to a lot of things. They yeah, I agree. Their lives, and I feel like it's our responsibility for those of us all who has lost someone during COVID or prior COVID or to some injustice, that we have a responsibility now to not be angry and just shout, but turn that anger into some channel. I'm angry. I'll paste a smile on my face, but I don't like being phony. So I'll keep it 100. I am
that's right.
Mhm.
angry at what happened to my husband and how he passed on. I'm angry at the things that happened to me and my family afterwards. It's why I feel that discrimination needs to be punishable under penal law, because um, people people used and weaponized my vulnerabilities and my family's vulnerabilities to try to extort or use us. And then they, I have a lot of people who tell me, worry about your kids, worry about my kids, but they have no problems taking from their mouths. They have no problem stopping my growth and blocking me. And then they're outward and open about it and very discriminative about it and alienating, but it's not, there's nothing I can do other than waste my time to go to civil court. And then when I go to civil court, all I can do is sue them. Now I look like I'm greedy for the money. And so it's like a lose-lose. I don't
Yeah,
want the money, I want
yes,
accountability. And I think
yes,
many
Yeah, you
people
want
out
to
there
win
want
win.
accountability.
You want to win
right.
win. I did have a question for you. I really don't ask a lot of questions, but I do have a question for you. My question is this: dealing with the police department, when you say you want them to unify with the communities, how do you do that when they have quotas that they have to meet, as far as like arrest quotas and things like that? How do you unify them with the community when they have to use the community to reach actually set quotas
Well,
in their departments?
Well, the rest code is actually a few of some NYPD minorities came together and sued the NYPD for that and did a recording, and they had recordings because New York State has a one-party consent recording law. So they were recording the demands that were being met on them, and what was happening, the inside politics. So that was already being addressed. But what I want to do and how I use unity is, for example, there was a Bay Ridge protest I assisted in the NYPD that was overseeing that protest in Bay Ridge. They were struggling because there were racist individuals that were going in and citing the Black Lives Matter protesters, and they were spitting on them. They were throwing racist slander at them, and then inciting them to get angry. And then now that's making the protesters angry and want to defend themselves. And then the politics of the police was that the police were facing the protesters and had their backs turned to the individuals, and they took that as, you're watching over us, holding us accountable, but you're not holding them accountable. So but what they were really doing was just keeping their eyes on the individuals that were showing the most emotional outbursts, because the truth is, we're not emotionally mature to handle strong emotions like anger and shouting and stuff like that. And and then when I walked into the protest, I took the megaphone and I started speaking to the individuals that were yelling at the protesters, the ones that were against the protest. I was like, listen, what happened to us was wrong. And then they were like, this is, you guys can't be out here disrupting the peace. I was like, well, we needed your attention and it worked. And look, you're here, we're here, let's talk. And then when they seen that, they were like, oh shoot, they walked away, they went away. So that helped, that got rid of that. But what
Mhm.
they do is, and this is what the protesters need to come out and speak up, the looting and the burning of stuff, the damage to property, that's not the protesters. What the people who are against the protesters do is they have their children, like their teenagers or young adult children, infiltrate these protests, and then act like fools doing that stuff, burning stuff and doing that. So the protesters look like they're the ones who are bringing that stuff, but it's really the locals who are doing that. And plus, on top of that, they get the insurance policy money, so it's a win-win. They make the protest look bad, and then they get to pull out the insurance on their property for being damaged, and then it's again, and then they get to blame it on the protest. No accountability. So and what happened was we were able to, the NYPD, I communicated to the protesters like, hey, if you're in violating this law, you're forcing the NYPD to engage you. So protest, exercise your right, but understand the laws that you could be violating in a process and avoid violating those laws. And then the NYPD were very grateful of that. And then and then what happened was they ended up working together with the leaders of the protesters and the NYPD and myself, and we was isolating the instigators, and the true instigators got arrested. The protesters got their message resolved, and community relations were healed, and there was no unnecessary violence and no unnecessary issues. Though the reporters that were there didn't report that part. They reported the drama, but they didn't report that.
Yeah.
And but it was a beautiful thing. And then what the NYPD ended up doing was, when things escalated, next you know, I'm behind them, they're protecting me. So they became my family over the time, because their policies and them wearing that uniform. I was military, I'm a veteran. You're not allowed to speak on the politics. You cannot voice, this is what's happening. You have to represent that uniform. And if you misrepresent that uniform, you get fired or infractions. And then you deal with a lot of inside politics. And plus, on top of that, those good cops are being held hostage by the same cops that would kill us cold blood, because they would kill them too. And there's a lot of inside stuff. So that's why I like to believe that I'm a voice for those who cannot speak up because policies and legislation slickly
Yeah.
oppressed their voice.
So
And
becoming you is actually being a voice for other people. People that
yes.
those people do not have a voice. This is actually becoming you. What this actually entails. So I think
Hmm.
this is a great message, for our audience, and people that run into this, that you have to become who you are so you can actually fight for other people as well. Be their mouthpiece, you know, be that sacrifice that other people do not have the insight or the spiritual maturity to actually become that sacrifice. So we actually commend you on that path. And what you wanted to say, Gene?
Yes, in becoming you and becoming uh and becoming is a growing, becoming means we always becoming, is sacrifice. And it is knowing that we are going to lose some people along the way, because as we grow, sometimes we outgrow our families, sometimes we outgrow our friends, and that becomes a sacrifice. But if we are becoming who we know our Creator wants us to be, I always say, Nathaniel, that I used to be a people pleaser. I wanted to please everyone within my world, and I ended up not pleasing anyone, including myself. So once I understood that becoming me, and this is what Jessica is, not Jessica, I'm sorry,
Miss Sparrow.
Miss Sparrow is. She is becoming who she is pleasing for herself and her legacy and the legacy of her husband. She's becoming that. And whatever happens with this election, I can only see it adding to her growth.
Yeah, it's an
Whatever
enrichment.
happens.
Yeah,
And
it's an
that's,
enrichment. Yeah, definitely.
yes, yes,
Definitely.
it's
Because
enriching
it's not
her.
about a lot of we're caught up on success and failures, but it's not about success and failures. It's about elevating. It's about you know putting on that other shield of armor, like, because
Ye-
before, you might have been so accessible, or you might have been a pushover. But because you went through this trial and tribulation, you went through these different movements. Now you have that extra armor, what I mean, that you need for your heart, for your spirit, for your mind, for your emotions, so you can actually do greater things
I
that's
used to
in your
be
life
afraid of
each day.
conflict, and now
Yeah,
I'm like, bring it, because I
you're
see
in politics.
people
You
want to
can't
mess up your
you can't
day.
be
They
afraid of conflict in
wake up.
politics, right?
Oh,
Politics is all about conflict. So if you're afraid of conflict, you're in
politics
the wrong
is
business.
conflict and passive aggression mixed with like it's I don't know. It's an interesting game, and an interesting world. But I do enjoy it, and I have this thing where, and it will come up. I'll leave voice texts. I love technology. You piece of whatever. I'll keep it clean. You piece. You did this
You piece
and
of
you did
fish.
that,
That's what
and
you
I'm
say.
coming for you. Let me do that for the people. Let me be like, you didn't pass the budget, but you
Yes.
wanted this. Let's see.
So Gene and I did. We talked about that because Gene is a happiness coach, right? Very powerful. I said Gene is a happiness coach. She's a very powerful sister. And we actually did spoke about, because you express your anger doesn't mean that you're unhappy, right? Or because you might
Exactly.
express certain things that you may have. So I think it's good to separate one from the other and don't allow yourself to be overwhelmed with different levels of emotions that may overtake you during this campaign, certain things that you're going to hear from other people during this campaign, and put on your body of armor because you're going into a tough fight. You're dealing with laws. You're dealing with the laws of the land. These laws of the land have been cemented into the world for centuries, right? So this is not an easy fight. This is a fight maybe for your life, right, so to speak. But at the end of the day, you can do it
Yeah.
because you're actually resonating with it. You're actually bringing it to the forefront. You're speaking to me and Gene and the world about this issue. So you actually have what it takes because you allow yourself to tap in to who you are. And I think becoming you is actually tapping in to who you are and to who you're going to become, in this time and moving the time forward. So we actually did lose her, but it was a great
But
conversation.
that was a great conversation. And you what you said, Nathaniel, is so true. Becoming you is, and I sometimes use the analogy. Here I go back to birds. When a bird is being born, that is one of the most painful times in a bird's life. When they're pecking out of that shell, when they're trying to come into the, you would not know how painful it is for a bird to come into existence. Cracking through that shell, trying to get through that shell is very painful for a
Mm,
bird.
Yes.
But it has to do that in order to become what it is created to become.
And risk
And
falling
yeah,
when it learns to fly.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And then the mother bird sometimes will go away and leave that baby bird because she knows that the only way it will learn to fly is if she'll push it out the nest. Get out there. you know get out of your comfort zone. And
mm.
sometimes, and this is what I've heard Miss Sparrow say, she has come up out of her comfort zone in order to become
The
who she is.
sparrow.
The sparrow.
It
Right?
definitely was a
Yeah.
interesting journey, and I mean, but I don't know if I would change it when I look back now at where I'm heading, and I'm at the place that I'm at today. I mean, I love my husband. I miss him so much, but I hid under his wings. I was, and he loved protecting me. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, and I stood there. I was content. I was like, yeah, somewhere I like, and then I when he passed, I got, there was some incidents that I was humiliated, and for me getting out into the social world before get married, there was no social media. And then when I was married, we was focused on our family, not socializing and not going out and about. Those apps weren't important to us and stuff. It was just what we was going through at that time. So I didn't know social etiquette when it came to texting. I didn't know all these things, and I was violating all these etiquettes, and then I'm being picked on and teased. I'm watching people laugh at me, and meanwhile I'm in pain. I'm suffering. I'm sad inside. All I wanted, and all I wanted is just someone to hug me, and and I couldn't turn to nobody. I tried. It wasn't that I didn't reach out. I did, but that became how I became vulnerable to other things, and my children were vulnerable to other things, and I had to. But that's what made me step into my power, because I had to become this fierce mother to protect my children, because
Yeah.
people are so cruel. They're so cruel. They really are very mean, and it's heartbreaking. And my babies,
And I
I
was,
celebrate them. I love them.
yeah,
They're like, I plan each and every one of them. So I'm like, look at my babies, look at my babies, and
yeah.
The little sparrows.
The little sparrows.
oh, they're so cute.
I was reading something earlier in the Bible from Ecclesiastes chapter 10. It was saying that through your struggles, you find your strength, right?
Yes.
You find your gifts, through your struggles, and your struggles actually anoint you, for the path that's ahead of you, right? We can't keep shying away from our struggles and shying away from the challenges that's actually going to help us to become who we are. And I think
Yes.
that's why Gene and I enjoy this topic so much, because we're also on that path of actually becoming who we are. And in that process, we're actually assisting others to become who they are and not being afraid, of the trials and tribulations, or
Hmm.
actually redeeming themselves in the world. You have to be able to redeem yourself, not just to the world, but yourself in the world. You have to bring
Hmm.
yourself into the world because you want to be able to benefit from this life for yourself, and know when your time has come that, yo, I live my best life. I face my challenges. I push through those brick walls, and this is basically your journey. And this will be a great journey for you, just tapping in and knowing who you are and just enjoying the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly living in a moment, not get lost in the past, which grieving I tend to do sometimes. But I don't know. I hope to. He used to call me his muse. Now I want to be everyone else's muse. I want to
Yeah,
inspire. I want to show that, and I need to, not just for others but for myself. I need to do this. I need to show that I
yes,
can, and that all this wasn't for nothing. And
right.
then for my babies, they need to see that when life throws wrenches
Your
your way,
curveball,
and what's that
you
saying?
gotta,
When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Well,
yeah.
Mama's making some strong lemonade,
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have
and I'm
heartburn after that
spiking it.
lemonade. That lemonade gonna give me heartburn, right? But it's pretty. It
And
sounds
that's
like
life. Wait a minute. That's life, Nathaniel. Sometimes life gives us heartburn, but we have to find the remedies that
yeah,
will take
yeah,
that away and then keep on keeping on, even past the heartburn.
yeah. Because we can't always be teaching, you know, baby lessons or just drinking milk. We also have to basically bring forth meat into this world, into the world of our children, to let them see what this life really consists of on many different levels, not just on one level, but many different levels. A lot of people speak about finance and things of that nature, but that's only one aspect, of the bigger circle, right? Is actually getting through life, going through the breakups, the losses that you have, the challenges that you're going to face, to allow you to say, man, listen, man, I can do this. I got what it takes to move forward, right? And I'm going to rebuild myself. Like I talked to a friend the other day, he says under construction. Like that's a great,
That's right.
right? Right? So that's a great
Yes.
way to see in your life when things don't always go your way. You're under construction. You're redeveloping. You know what I mean? You're finding a new purpose for your life, and at the end of the day, you have the right to do so.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and don't get hung up on your mistakes. We make them. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. You
That's
know,
right.
Yes.
it.
That's right.
I said, don't get hung up on your mistakes. We
Yeah, we
make
heard
them because that's how we learn them. That's how we get better. We become perfect that way. Our
that's right.
Yes.
imperfections are our perfections.
Yes.
Mm,
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Thank
Life is a
you, Miss
stronghold.
Sparrow. Thank you.
Thank you. It's definitely a blessing having you today. Hopefully, we can reconnect on a different level to bring you back into the show, another level. But this was a great interaction, a great conversation, and we hope a lot of people got some great purpose out of this conversation.
All right,
yeah.
Nathaniel, it's about that time.
Yeah, we're closing out. We're gonna do our meditation through Eugene, and it's gonna be a blessing to everybody.
Okay, everyone. Thank you again, Miss Sparrow. And now I don't know if you'll be able to, you won't be able to close your eyes because I
Nope.
see that you're not in a place where you can do this, but just listen and in your mind, um, go along with us. Okay, everyone. I want everyone that is in a safe space to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and let it out slow. Take a deep breath and let it out slow. We're relaxing. We're relaxing and counting our blessings and enjoying just breathing, being able to breathe. Relax the top of your head. Relax. Relax your forehead. Relax your face. Move down. Relax your neck. Relax your shoulders. We're moving on down, relaxing our body as we go. Relax your fingers. Moving on down. Relax your legs. Breathing as we go. Taking deep breaths as we go. Move on down your legs. Relax. Relax your toes. Relax. It's a great day to be alive. It's a great day to breathe in life. I am going to count backwards from 5. At the end, take a deep breath and let it out slow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. Take a deep breath and let it out slow. Peace and blessings.
Peace and
E
blessings.